The same Chris Christie who had no problem whatsoever with a mosque being built at Ground Zero. The same Chris Christie who's soft on border security. He's just one of 1,000 of these Republicans. One of 1,000. And so, well, I'll let you hear Chris Christie today. Guess this was yesterday, while I'm on the subject of these rhinos. Chris Christie at the Aspen Institute. Does Chris Christie ever stay in Trenton, New Jersey, by the way? That's the capital, you know. What Trenton makes, the world takes. I know this because that's the sign on their bridge. Is the man ever in Trenton, New Jersey? Cut 2, go.
And on the libertarianism side of things, as a former prosecutor and who was appointed by President George W. Bush on September 10th, 2001, I just want us to be really cautious, because this strain of libertarianism that's going through both parties right now and making big headlines, I think is a very dangerous thought.
See, here's the problem. This is superficial. I don't even know what strain of libertarianism he's talking about. For instance, Ron Paul is different than Rand Paul, as best as I can tell. It's true. My buddy Neil Bortz, one of the great radio hosts of all time, retired now, was a different kind of libertarian than perhaps Nick Gillespie over there at Reason Magazine. So I'm not sure what he's talking about. If he's talking about unilateral disarmament, he's right. If he's talking about unilateral isolationism, he's right. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this NSA program, not unilateral anything. Cut 3, go.
And as the governor now of a state that lost the second most people on 9/11 behind the state of New York, right, and still seeing those families, John, right. I love all these esoteric debates that people are getting in.
Stop. These aren't esoteric debates. These are substantive, fundamental debates, Governor. See, this is what happens when a guy is a pompous ass. He wants you to believe, you folks in New Jersey and New York and other places, but particularly his constituents in New Jersey, that this NSA program is legit in terms of preventing terrorism and so forth and so on. I don't know, Governor Christie, how many people did you prosecute for sneaking into the country illegally? I don't know, Governor Christie, how many people did you prosecute for overstaying their visas? Because, ladies and gentlemen, for the most part, that's how we got these hijackers. They overstayed their visas. And nobody gave a damn. And so the question is, what did you do about that as a prosecutor, Governor Christie? I'll ask another question. Has Governor Christie complained that the TSA stops everybody and treats everybody the same, and they don't, may I use the word, profile? Is Governor Christie concerned about that, given the fact that he was appointed by President Bush on 9/10/2001? Because there really are more effective ways to prevent a 9/11. Secure the border. Stop playing games about what goes on with TSA, little old ladies with blue hair in wheelchairs and patting them down like they're a threat when they're not a threat and they never have been a threat. No, because when it comes to that, Governor Christie is PC. PC. That's what he is. Politically correct. The NSA has information that the telephone companies have, that the server companies have, and it's duplicating it by seizing it. That doesn't increase our security, and it weakens the Constitution. And I hear people saying, well, the Supreme Court has ruled this is okay. The Supreme Court hasn't ruled anything. But let me ask you a question, ladies and gentlemen. The Supreme Court issues a lot of rulings that we don't agree with, doesn't it? Is the Supreme Court the Politburo now that makes all these determinations on national security? 9 lawyers who don't know a damn thing about national security? No offense to the ones that I like. They're not the national security experts. They're 9 lawyers, most of whom went to Ivy League law schools. Perfectly fine. But as far away from actual law enforcement and national security activities one can get. Harvard, Yale, you get it. But the Supreme Court ruled, what does that have to do with anything? The Supreme Court did not rule that Congress must pass a law and the NSA must collect this information. So that's a non-argument. Hiding behind the court one day, condemning it the next. That's not an argument. And yes, this is a debate we need to have. I hear those who are full of themselves and sanctimony saying, well, these debates, look how they've divided us. Divided us? We wouldn't be having this debate at all if we didn't know what the government was doing, and the government would have been perfectly happy with us not knowing what it was doing. This is not an operational leak that occurred. This is a massive bureaucratic joke that's occurring. Not an operational leak. There's a difference. There's a difference. When law enforcement and our intelligence agencies really do have a beat on somebody, and that's leaked, that's different than somebody informing us that our phone numbers, we, innocent, hardworking, tax-paying American citizens, are being seized from private companies, nationalized, if you will, in order just to make sure. And the people who make these arguments don't even understand our history. They reject it completely, this notion of general warrants. Google it. Look it up yourself. I don't need to write a book on it. The reason that the framers insisted on probable cause is because they rejected the king's general warrants of generally collecting information, generally rounding up people, generally doing this, generally doing that. And I'm here to tell you it does not serve a law enforcement and national security purpose. And if we are hit again, and I suspect we will be, it won't be because people oppose the NSA system. It'll be because the border was not secured. It'll be because the Department of Homeland Security didn't do its job. It'll be because somebody slipped through national security, just like the 2 terrorist murderers did at the Boston Marathon. Just like that Islamo-Nazi at Fort Hood who slaughtered 13 people and maimed a dozen more or so. It'll be because we didn't do what we should have done with the information we legitimately had. Governor Christie,